Viewers, Middle East continues to remain on edge. Iran has launched a large-scale missile barrage on Israel, triggering air raid sirens and explosions across cities, including Tel Aviv, marking the most intense escalation between the two nations in decades. The attack is a direct retaliation for Israel's earlier strikes on Iranian nuclear and military sites. Iran fired hypersonic missiles, with Israel's military confirming that dozens were launched, many intercepted mid-air by Iron Dome. Explosions continue to be heard either from interceptions or falling debris. Emergency services are on the ground in Tel Aviv, attending to the damage caused by the strikes. The IDF has also confirmed that fewer than 100 missiles were fired, with most intercepted or falling short. It is an ongoing situation. And to help us understand better what is really happening between Israel and Iran, I'm joined by Dr. Doron Avital, who is ex-commander of Israel's elite special forces, former member of the Foreign and Security Committee as well. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. What do we make of this latest statement coming in from Israeli Prime Minister? Given the current tensions, are we looking at a full-scale regional war?
Well, this is clearly a possibility. I wouldn't say this is what Israel aims to. Israel wants to see Iran stepping away from its nuclear ambition. It very much also connects to what the U.S. would say. Right now, the U.S. helps us only on the defensive, and it shows in terms of those hits that you see in Tel Aviv. That could have been worse. So regional conflict is very much in the cards, but Israel right now, the aim is dismantling those ambitions, dismantling infrastructure as much as possible, hitting military targets and people that are in the helm of this nuclear project. Whether this would escalate, extend it, this is yet to be seen, but the situation is very severe.
Okay, and we are also seeing retaliation from Iran as well. What do you make of the statements coming in from Iran's supreme leader and the retaliation that has now taken place?
Well, they've launched like 150, 160 missiles. I hope as we sit right now, it won't happen as we talk. And some of them made an impact, and we had 3 casualties in the region of Tel Aviv. Yet, I mean, this is not in the magnitude that they advertise right now in the meantime, in terms of hitting really, I would say, strategic targets in Israel, but actually civilians are in fear and they have to rush to those shelters when it's needed. So we'll have to see this evening. It will be a crucial evening. They promised to retaliate. We expect a retaliation this evening and during the night, and we'll have to see what comes next. But as we talk, also Israeli airplanes, of course, are hovering over Iran and hitting targets. And there was even a UAV that seems to be targeting an infrastructure of oil in Bushehr. So the war is gearing on. I mean, we are actually in the first few days of a campaign, military campaign, which is dramatic.
And Israel, we know, has also been successful in eliminating several of Iran's, in fact, top military commanders and nuclear scientists. How do such high-profile assassinations affect Iran's strategic depth and, internal security, in your opinion? Because earlier, the targets were nuclear sites, but now the latest information that we are getting is that there has been a strike on Iranian refinery as well.
Yeah, there was this, I just mentioned the attack on the refinery, and you mentioned the hitting of those military targets. This is, first of all, an indication of great intelligence and great capacity to be able to identify leaders in general in this level and hit them directly and only them. So this is dramatic, because this is really a dramatic blow to the people that manage both the military, both the the Iranian National Guard, which is really the key force in Iran military complex, and key physicists, people that are holding a position in the nuclear project. So this was a huge success from a military perspective. How would it affect the ability to, first of all, retaliate as they do right now, and how would it affect the whole political structure in Iran? Of course, Israel and the whole world would have liked to see a new Iran with a different regime. Whether this will be the consequence of this attack or those attacks or those coming few days, we have yet to see.
Okay. The latest update that we've got is that US-Iran's next round of nuclear talks have been called off after Israeli strikes. Sixth round that was supposed to happen in Muscat, Oman's capital, and that has been called off. So are we now ruling out any kind of situation wherein both sides come and have talks? Is that phase now completely over?
Well, I'm not sure, but this is an interesting, or the most interesting question right now on the table, because of course the coming talks would have to be postponed. The question whether Iran, after being hit so dramatically and its national pride so undermined, whether Iran would be ready to go back to the negotiation table and sit vis-a-vis the Americans and get a deal that Israel can accept. So this is really up to the Iranians to make the decision. I think if you ask the Americans, clearly they are there. What Trump would have liked is not to engage America in an offensive attack in Iran. He would have liked to see an agreement that is in sync with the objective of his objective and our objective, to see Iran with no capacity to create nuclear weaponry. So this is yet to be seen. It would be an interesting question. I'm not sure yet, because the national pride of nations is a key element. It's not only business, and Iranian will really hit this time in a very dramatic fashion, and they would have, it would be their call. I'm sure Trump would suggest a new round of talks, and it will be their call whether they come back to the negotiation table.
All right, Dr. Doron, thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective. Of course, this is a developing story, and more updates are coming in, and we will, of course, be getting you all the latest. For now, slipping into a short break.